morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm Reverend Dr. Suzi Schadle, and I am not your interim minister at Suncoast. I am on the loose. Look out, Sarasota.
And other parts.
And other parts of who knows where. I want to start with something that usually comes at the end, but I'm not sure I'll make it to the end. So I want to thank some people. I want to thank Jane and Jody and Susan for their hospitality, for putting me up and putting up with me, giving me a place to stay, especially in the early days when I needed to be here more than just on Sunday. I needed to be here to get things launched. So I thank you for your love and your hospitality. And Susan, please give Sherman my best also. I also want to thank the board for inviting me to come and work with you as a spiritual community and move through a roller coaster of adventures. So I thank the board, and I thank the board for stepping up in a way that they never imagined that they would. And so I appreciate that. I want to thank the practitioners for all of their love and prayers and support, not only of me, but more importantly of Suncoast, of the community itself. They have been at the center and at the fringes and everywhere in this community, holding us together in the oneness of prayer. I want to thank the musicians, all of them. Some of them are here today and some aren't, and some we'll see again and some we may not. I want to thank all of the musicians who have supported the messages by sharing their talents. I want to thank all of the volunteers, and there are many. I'm going to start with Randy. Randy, I'm going to miss moving chairs around with you. We got pretty good at it. Randy, who has been coming early and setting up and greeting and meeting, and I just appreciate you so much, Randy. And I want to thank the Mr. Soundman, yes, Mr. Soundman, we'd be nothing without you. And Lori, his protege, who's also very adept at sound now. And for the media team, thank you for those of you who, I don't know what you've been putting up behind my back, but at least now I can see it. The last Sunday. So I can see it. So thank you for that, because it's not always been easy, because I tend to change things after they're already set. So I want to thank the media team as well. I want to thank the hospitality team. People have stepped up, and we stepped up our hospitality in an effort to bring people together in community. I want to thank Jessie, the book lady.
Yes.
She just took that on. And I want to thank Jody, actually. Jody Brown actually launched that bookstore. We had this idea, she launched the bookstore, and then Jessie just kind of, it was like, wow, it was like two magnets just went boom. And so I want to thank you for that. And the day will come when the rolling bookstore will do that. In the meantime, if you've got books in mind, let somebody know, and I'm sure they can find them somewhere and bring them to you. So you could special order, kind of like Amazon, only not really. I just, and I want to thank all the people who helped set up and tear down. I want to thank Lori, who, Lori Salvador, she's way behind the scenes most of the time, but I'll tell you what, a whole lot of what you see in front of the scenes wouldn't happen without her. So thank you. You are, as I've said many times, I want to thank our Sunday school folks as well. Teresa, Lori's put a stint in there, and Barley certainly has helped with curriculum, and we've had some other folks that aren't here. So thank you for Nancy. Yes, back there in the corner. It's hard for me to see you back there because of the light. That's why they call it the blind tiger. I'm a blind tiger. Wow, God must be working overtime today. All this together. So, and Nancy spent time back there with the kids as well. And, you know, I'm going to speak for them for just a moment. First of all, I want to say thank you for being such angels to the kids. But I'm betting that you got something back that was just as magnificent from those little kid mentors. So I'm knowing that your lives have been enriched too, and that you'll tell others that as they work with kids, they'll be enriched. And, you know, finally, I want to thank all of you, the Suncoast community, because you are the reason we're here. You are the community, and you are the beginnings of what it is to become. And I want to come back and visit and go, wow. So that's my intention. That's my expectation. Please don't let me down, because otherwise I'll look very foolish. Wow. They go, what's she wowing about? And you know, when I'm just looking here now, Judy, very important volunteer position. She counts the money. Thank you, Judy. So thank you for your abundance consciousness, when you count that money. So thank all of you, and I just wanted to get that handled so that I didn't get to a point where I couldn't quite do it.
And Donna and Jody with Unbroken Circle.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Huge.
I can read my notes, but why bother? Yeah, the Unbroken Circle is a powerful, powerful part of this ministry. I got to tell you, and I told you before, a ministry this young doesn't typically have such an advanced and powerful, caring ministry as the Unbroken Circle. So thanks, kudos to Donna in particular, Jody who helps and supports that, and Susan who also supports that, and all of you who support ministering to one another. Keep it up. We are a model for how wonderful that is. Donna.
And our search committee.
Oh, yes. Gee, how could I forget that? Actually, I was going to mention at the end, but yes, the search team, and I want to say in particular, the search team had an interesting journey, because we took off like a rocket, and then we kind of got, our trajectory kind of went this way for reasons we don't need to go into. And then they kept the consciousness going, and then came back together powerfully, and we have a result, an outcome that is magnificent. And there's more, so much more to be revealed about that. And we'll reveal a little bit more today, and then you got the rest of your lives to unfold the rest. But yeah, let's give a hand to the search team. Jennifer and Randy and Barley and Weston. And I just, you know, was on the sidelines cheering and advising in terms of the process, but their consciousness have brought you a brand new minister, and you're going to love it. So today I thought it might be fitting to take a little journey back to the future. And so I thought we might visit, you know, it's kind of reminiscent. I love bookends. When I started my church, I got a very clear message from the Spirit, exactly when to start, the date, the location, everything. And when it was time for me to leave, I got the same kind of a bookend. The date that I was complete, and I didn't get where I was going after that. That took a few weeks, but I like the bookends kind of thing. So today I feel like I'm kind of in a bookend. The first day that I came to Suncoast, I didn't know what was going on. Everybody did everything and just told me where to stand, you know, told me where to go. And then I did my thing. And the same thing today. I had no idea what was being, it's just, okay, stand here, and then you'll do this, and then you'll do that. So we're kind of bookending yet again. So I thought it would be fun to kind of take a journey through where we've been together in this last year and a half. So when I started, it happened to be the 5th anniversary of Suncoast, and I sort of got the inspiration to talk about Suncoast, the prequel, and talked about, you know, that the prequel really began before Suncoast. It began when Reverend Allen got the vision for Suncoast, and then he nurtured that vision, and then it began to unfold in form and became you guys. And I want to tell you, I got a text from Alan and Kevin this morning blessing us on this transition today. So they're with us today as well. So the prequel is here also. And then what I talked about was that we were going to be moving into the current episode. that space in the middle between the prequel and the sequel, and that we've been, it was a longer episode than I it kind of got a little drawn out, but we moved into the current episode. And what we wanted to do in that current episode was to really get conscious and intentional about creating and drawing to us the sequel that would become Suncoast. Angela Zarian wrote this. She said, every transition is a process of leaving and entering, and has the potential to expand our love, to teach us more about giving and receiving, and to manifest more balance and creativity, to invite new experiences and possibility into our lives. It is an opportunity to light a new path if we are willing to do the personal work necessary. We've done a lot of work, and there's more to do. That path will continue to unfold as the sequel starts to open. When I first got here, I also asked, I remember the question, who here is interested in transformation? And pretty much everybody's hands went up. And then I asked, and who wants to change? And a lot of the hands went down. But I was not daunted by that at all. We actually did move into a lot of change and transition. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, says that it is the very nature of the universe that there should be continual change and variation. Let us accept change, make the most of it, and capitalize on it. And so change and transform we did. We did a lot of it. Some of it was very experimental. We tried some things, they didn't work, we didn't do them anymore. We tried some other things and some things stuck, and guess what? I have a feeling there'll be more change to come. So it's good that you're practiced at it. One of the things that we talked about in that current episode was that we really wanted to point far. Some of you will remember this little exercise. We wanted to point far, P-T-F-A-R, point far, to program our thoughts and our feelings to empower our actions for great results that point far. And so we are pointing far still. There's still a far to go to. So remember that. Program our thoughts, our feelings, to empower our actions to point to great results. Point far. And that point far was part of what helped us to make those transitions and the transformation. And transformation is not about becoming who we're not. In fact, it is about stopping being who we're not and becoming who we truly are, who we've come here to be. And so we worked on getting very clear about who we were as individuals, who we are as a spiritual community, so that we could call the minister who matches who it is that we are as a spiritual community. And I think we must have done a pretty good job with that, because I think that the minister we've called is a good match. So applaud yourselves on that one. Part of the work that we did to move us part of the work that we did to help us to make those transformations, we engaged in kind of a transformational construction project, if you will, focusing on creating a world that works for everyone through values-based spiritual living. And so we focused on the foundation, which is our values. Our values are the foundation upon which we build. And so we turned our value statements into affirmative statements that we recite every week, so that we are mindful and so that we're being clear about what we most value. And so that's the foundation upon which we build. Then we started to draft our blueprints, and what that was catching Spirit's vision for Suncoast. And so we did some visioning, sometimes on the board or with the leadership team, and other times with the entire congregation. We start to get in tune with Spirit and answer the call that Spirit has for us, which is much greater than anything we can imagine. And then we began to raise the frame and the walls of that sort of fuzzy vision, and began to put together some plans and some strategies and some goals. And then the construction began, where we started to take action on some of those goals and the vision. That's the human part of the experience that we are engaged in partnership with Spirit. then we decided, well, now that we've kind of got that foundation down, we've got a sort of a home base that we're working on, we decided to take a flight to transformation. Remember? We buckled our seatbelts and we took a flight to transformation, first of all, by filing a flight plan for our destination that pointed us far. And then we did a pre-flight check using the 6 Ps. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. Easy for me to say. Proper planning prevents poor performance. And we all recited that together reasonably well. And then we were approved for takeoff. So we were really ready to move into the air, which we did. And we began to fly on that journey to transformation. And in the course of that journey, we checked in with Source and corrected our course all along the way, because Spirit, our source, was the source of the flight plan to begin with, through visioning. Spirit was also the center of our true power, which is creation. And Spirit is our GPS, our guidance system. And so we check in with Source all along the course and correct the course to stay in alignment, to stay on track for that destination that points us far. Most of flying or sailing, if you prefer the water, is about course corrections. There's never a straight line. I don't even believe in straight lines. There's never a straight line getting from A to Z. There's always these tiny course corrections. And so we did that on our flight to transformation, and we began to fly beyond our fear into the stratosphere of infinite possibility, using our science of mind principles and practices to get us to the promise of that destination. And we're getting really close, getting really close. Then, if you'll recall, after we landed, we spent some time in the Garden of Awakening. Remember that? And so we started out by preparing the soil of our soul to receive new seed. And remember, everybody got seeds. Some people actually have plants from those seeds. Jody Brown, I believe you have some pretty big plants from those seeds. And so we all got seeds every week, and we prepared the soil of our soul so that it would be rich soil to receive the seed. And then we planted the seed of our desire, individually and collectively as community. We planted that seed, and then we nurtured it with love and with prayer. And then we cultivated those seeds with action. So we had to spend time with our seeds. We had to make sure they were watered and they had the proper sunlight and all the nutrients that they needed. And then we actually had our the last Sunday that we talked about the seeds at the Garden of Awakening, we actually went out in the garden. Remember, we had a community garden experience, and some of us actually planted our seeds in that community garden. So we've left something there at Roland Park. We've left the seeds that have become plants, and they were beans, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So somebody maybe ate those beans. How cool is that? We're feeding beyond our own community. Excellent. Good work, people. Then, that was in the fall. Then we moved into celebrate the holidays, and we did it in a joyous, inclusive way. If you'll recall, we did a candle lighting service that included all the practitioners, and we had musicians. In fact, my best friend Lisa was one of the musicians at holiday service, and Tim Ham. And so all of the prayers and the music were peace prayers. It was music about peace from all the major spiritual traditions, and that's how we celebrated the holidays with our candlelight service. It was beautiful. It was very heartwarming, and I felt connected all around the world. And then the new year came, and we welcomed that in with a sort of a high-tech, pyrotechnic burning bowl, and we used the flash paper to release what had gone before so that we could be available to set our intentions for the new year. We wrote intentions, and then we mailed those to you, I think long about March. Have you been working on your intentions? So, I learned the hard way that you don't wait till the end of the year to send their intentions. It's like, oh yeah, I should have done that. So we closed a year and we opened a year in a very ceremonial way. Then we decided it might be good if we focused on the 4 agreements. And so we practice being impeccable with our word. I remember we brought that into the board meetings, in fact, when, you know, I don't know if you've noticed this, but human beings sometimes when they get together don't always agree on everything, and sometimes there's a little tension. So right about the time that I was doing the series on the 4 agreements, that was kind of up at the surface a little bit. So wow, once again, Spirit intervenes for our good, and we start talking about the 4 agreements. So be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Wow, that's a really good one. They're all really good. Don't make assumptions. Another really good one. And finally, always do your best. Do the best that you can do with what you have to work with right in this moment, and you'll get better. If we do all of those, we'll all get better. And what we do together will be magnificent. And then, one of my personal favorites, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, but one of my personal favorites was that we watched a stage full of stuffed rabbits and various other animals literally come to life through the love that we gave those stuffed animals, and they got real. They got real when we talked about the growth principles of the Velveteen Rabbit. And we loved all those bunnies and all those stuffed animals up until they became real, and the very next week at the end of the series, they had all disappeared because they had become real and had gone to live with little children all over Tampa to love them up. And so yet again, we're spreading who we are as Suncoast out into the Tampa Bay area. So just know that all that love you sent keeps on giving. So I love that one. Get real. And then recently we talked about love and compassion and caring and heart-centered, action-oriented service. To put all of that love and compassion that we have into action so that it really makes a difference in our own lives and the lives of this spiritual community and also of the greater Tampa area. And so we talked about, first of all, the most beloved, the love of Spirit, cultivating that relationship with Spirit within us and all around us. And then that helps us to cultivate our relationships with others and with ourselves so that we can love ourselves. You know, whatever your grandmother told you, my grandmother's probably spinning in her grave right now thinking of the idea that we should love ourselves. It's like, Grandma, I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. We must love ourselves. Love ourselves, love others, love Spirit. Just be the presence of love, and you will receive love at every turn. Love. It's most important. And then we talked about how we can best practice our compassion and our caring, and our unbroken circle is such a beautiful example of exactly that, compassion and caring and love and service. So we've been sort of steeped in it because thanks to Donna's vision in particular, and Jody and Susan helping her to bring that to fruition, and all the other people who have joined in that. You can partake in as a recipient or been a giver of that care and concern and compassion. And then we talked about giving of our time, our talent, and our treasure. And this very famous philosopher said, giving of our time in communion with God in our spiritual practice connects us to the divine energy and flow of Spirit, and we are given unlimited support. Giving of our talent in sacred service builds community and moves love into action. Giving of our treasure enriches the recipient and the giver and keeps our giving-receiving energy flowing. And the philosopher? Me. One of my quotable quotes. Giving of our time, talent, and treasure. We have to know who we are. We have to be clear why we're here. It goes back to the very first song, Love, Serve, and Remember. Remember who you are truly in spirit and in truth, and then you cannot help but love and serve. And that loving and serving is giving of yourself, giving of your time with Spirit, time in full presence with one another, talent, all those things that you're passionate about, that you love to do, that you're really great at, giving of those talents, and giving of your treasure, financial resources and support to support the work of this community so that we might give even more bunnies to become real out there to the children of Tampa, so that we might plant more seeds. We need those resources of time, talent, and treasure. And finally, that pretty much has been the current episode. And so now the current episode is complete, and we're ready. We're ready to move into the sequel that is Suncoast. And so it's time for me to pass the torch. It's time for me to pass the torch to the one who will walk with you into that sequel that is Suncoast. Ernest Holmes said something at Asilomar. It was his last Asilomar, and I'll paraphrase it because I don't know the exact quote. But what he said was, "We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, and there will be those who come after us, and they will know more than we do, and they will take this teaching into the future." And so you, as Suncoast, along with your new minister, will take this teaching into the future. You will become the sequel that is Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living. You are it. No one does it for you. You do it together in partnership with each other and with Spirit. That's the sequel. You'll figure out the title, and there may be many. You know, if it's anything like some of the other things we've seen in Hollywood, there may be many sequels. It is my prayer that there are.